Hey, how's it going, guys? Matt here with OddsJam, and it's finally here. Game one of the World Series. Well, I guess I should say the World Series is finally here with Game one starting tonight. We have Verlander on the bump against Aaron Nola. Verlander probably gonna win the Cy Young this year. Was incredible, as you can tell from his stats: 18-4, 1.75 ERA, just insane. Nola had a good year, obviously not as good as Verlander. He has had a great playoffs, except for his last start, where he got dinged up. I think he gave up 5 earned runs, something like that, 5 or 6 earned runs. Prior to that, in the playoffs, he had been incredible. So you hope he got his one bad start out of the way. Nola, the MO on his career up until this year would be he always starts off the year hot, but he always seems to not perform well late in the season. This year, he was able to change that narrative. We will see if he can also change that narrative in the World Series. Verlander has had 2 postseason starts so far. Got shelled in the first one, gave up 6 runs, was great in the second one. I will say Verlander has not historically been great in the World Series specifically. I don't know how much of that is just noise, how much of that is legit, that his arm, just at his age, he's like 38, 39 years old, just gets worn down at the end of the year. Regardless, should be a pretty good pitching matchup. Now, I've done a betting preview of the World Series and a betting preview of Game 1 individually. So this video, what I'm specifically going to be doing is just hopping on OddsJam, trying to find some positive expected value bets. So I have OddsJam up here. I have up the positive EV page, and I'm just going to be hammering some bets. So there's a couple here that I like. The first one that I wanted to lock in here, JT Realmuto, I love saying his name, over 1.5 player bases, plus 155 at BetRivers. So pretty good price here, getting this at plus 155. So I'm going to go ahead and lock this in for half a unit. Well, I would like to get it for half a unit. Looks like only half of that will get approved. But for those of you at home, this should be worth half a unit play. JT Realmuto over 1.5 player bases. And let's chat about it. So number one, the Novig odds you see here price this at about plus 147. BetRivers is offering it at plus 155. So the gap between those two numbers, that is where you get your positive expected value from. The bigger the gap, the bigger the positive expected value. The way it works is OddsJam collected, back-tested thousands of betting opportunities, use that data to determine what sportsbooks do the best job at pricing odds. Now that they have that information, they removed the VIG from all of those sharp sportsbooks using a weighted average, giving obviously heavier weight towards the sportsbooks that are the sharpest. And there you have it, spits out this no VIG odds, in this case, plus 147. So plus 155 at BetRivers is a pretty good outlier when you compare it out to the rest of the sports books as well. Look at where every other book prices it. Pinnacle, plus 131. BetOnline, plus 132. DraftKings, plus 130. Caesars even lower at plus 123. The only book that has it above plus 130 is PointsBet, and they only have it at plus 140, still 15 cents lower than what BetRivers is giving you at plus 155. So this is a pretty awesome play. JT Realmuto over 1.5 player bases. The batter himself, he's kind of hit or miss. You know what you're going to get from him. He's not as hot as a Hoskins, as a Schwarber, as obviously has Bryce, but he also doesn't have the ups and downs that a Schwarber and a Rhys Hoskins have as well. He's kind of steady, so you know what you're going to get from him. He had a couple home runs in the playoffs so far this season, couple against the Padres last playoffs. So I think that he should be pretty good in this series. And getting him to basically get a double or 2 singles at plus 155 odds, I think is great value. The next play that I wanted to lock in, Brandon Marsh over 0.5 hits. Just does he get a hit? Does Brandon Marsh get a hit? Now this one is a little bit scarier, I will admit, because he struggled in the playoffs so far, especially against the last series specifically. He was actually pretty good in the first 2 rounds, but against the Padres, he really struggled. This is going to be another half unit play. Of course, they accepted this full one, $50, half unit. Brandon Marsh over 0.5 hits. Plus 105 at BetRivers. So let me add this one to my bet tracker. No big odds. Price this at about plus 104. So not as big of a gap between these two numbers. Still a pretty good play. Excuse me, Brandon Marsh over 0.5 hits. Basically, does he get one hit in this game? Does he get one hit? And I like this one for handicapping purposes as well. So Brandon Marsh came over from the Phillies in a trade from the Angels. He has a ton of experience against the Astros, and his stats specifically against the Astros aren't horrible, and specifically against Verlander. So maybe he'll be able to come out of his shell in this series after a rough series against the Padres. He wasn't seeing the plate well. He was swinging and missing, but if there's ever a chance for him to get it together, maybe it's against a team that he knows intimately. And regardless, it's a pretty good line. Plus 105 at Bet Rivers. BetOnline minus 110, DraftKings minus 110, Caesars minus 117, FanDuel minus 120, BetMGM minus 110. All these books have it as the more favorable outcome, or as a pretty favored outcome, not the more favorable one, but priced pretty more significantly better in terms of our perspective than the plus 105 at Bet Rivers. So those are going to be my two bets for today for World Series Game 1. If you are tailing these, let me know, comment on the video. Would love to hear it. Other than that, enjoy the World Series tonight. I know I will. I'm rooting for the Phillies, but the Astros are an absolute juggernaut, so we will see. Regardless, placing bets based on value, not based on my heart, and that's how you can be profitable in the long run. So I appreciate you guys watching, and have a good one.